Okay, so you just got back from a ride and you're like, oh, I just want to go and drink coffee and have a sit down. But genuinely, you do recover better if you have a bit of a stretch. So I'm going to start off with wrists because I don't know about you, but after a long ride, my wrists can feel a bit sore. So we're going to go with rotating in both directions. You kind of look like you're doing a regal wave. That's okay, you can look daft, it's fine, nobody cares. And then we're going to go, we're imagining them at the top. Going down, you can do neck and shoulders. So you can keep going these ones if you are one of those people who can do more than one thing at once. So head down, chin to chest, and then inhale, left ear to left shoulder. Exhale down, right ear to right shoulder, chin down, left ear to left shoulder, chin to chest, right ear to right shoulder, chin to chest. I've stopped moving my fingers now, I got bored of that. So you can scrunch them in like a fist and spit them out again, so like this. Moving the hands again, particularly if you did a lot of braking. Okay, so then the head is going down, and then head is going to go all the way gently back, okay? So you're not doing a sort of head banging session. And then all the way forward. Head going all the way back and all the way forward. And then the head's coming up to a normal position. You're going to look over your shoulder like an owl. Back to the middle. Look over the other shoulder like an owl. And then back. Okay, so shoulders now. Often we end up doing a spot of this on the bike. So we're trying to think, shoulders open, so bringing your hands behind your back. Inhale, lifting up, opening the chest. Releasing the shoulders. You can lift the hands up in front of you, palms towards you, then push the hands away. Stretch the back of the shoulders, looking down towards your feet. Inhale, shoulders up to the ceiling. Exhale, hands down behind you. We'll go both of the shoulders again. Inhale, looking up to the ceiling. Exhale, round. You don't have to have a cat, that's not part of it. Inhaling up. Exhale, pushing the palms of your hands away. Inhaling up. Exhale, hands down beside you. So, you can also do a bit of the train movement, as in if you were singing some song about trains or wheels on buses, too small people. So this kind of movement of shoulders back and down. Hopefully get your shoulders happier. Right, next one for shoulders. This one messes with some people's heads. So if your body goes, what on earth? Don't panic. You're going to have both hands up, and one is going forwards and one is going backwards, okay? So if your brain says, what the hell is going on? Swear. Then just do them both backwards, okay? Some people's brains really, really struggle with it. So yeah, if you're one of those people, really don't worry about it. Then we're going up to the top and you're going to send the other hand forward and the other one back. And if you were doing both hands going backwards, you're now going to do both hands doing forwards. So again, this helps to loosen up the shoulders. Right, okay, now we're moving down. We're now getting to hips. So start off with a bit of a comedy hip wiggle. You're allowed to creak and groan. Definitely with any kind of stretching or any kind of yoga, you are not supposed to be having sharp pains. So if your knee says jog on, then stop doing whatever it is. A little bit of kind of stretching is fine, but there is a big difference, as I think all of you know, between a stretch and an agonising kind of situation with your knee. Going back in the opposite direction, more cat action. Hello, cat. Are you coming up? God, cat is very needy. Hello. Right. So now I'm going to stretch out the quad muscles. So you're taking all of your weight into your left foot and bringing your right foot into the hand. So you're trying to keep both knees parallel. So we're not going for the knee out to the side. The knees are going and the thighs are parallel. So from here, the cat's really helping. You can kick into your foot to intensify the stretch, and you're pushing forward with your right hip, keeping the chest open. So open those shoulders again, from where they've been squeezed forward, possibly on your bike. So you can stay here for as long as you like. You can do this more whole kind of range more than once. I often find that if I do it when I first get back from the bike and I do it in the early evening of the day, then that's a really good way of making sure I didn't kind of seize up before bed, especially if you've been sitting at a desk again later. So bringing now round to the opposite leg. It may be tighter on one leg than the other. If you ever had a bike fit, you know that we're usually not totally symmetrical. That's absolutely fine to not be symmetrical. We are not robots. So you're kicking your foot back into your hand, keeping the chest lifted. Again, trying to counteract some of that bike posture. You can push harder into your hand to intensify the stretch. But as always, like, you can't undo lots of not stretching in one stretching session, sadly. And then coming back. All right, so now we're kind of stretching out a bit of our hip flexors. And now we're going to go for some glute action, particularly if you've been doing hills. The glutes tend to know about it. So this one is a super stretch that you can do in an easier or a harder way. So up to you to choose. You bring your right foot on top of your left knee. And then you can kind of sit down. Now this foot is staying flexed. Now, if you are somebody who finds balance easier, then you don't have to do it holding onto a wall. You can just be independently hanging out here and gradually sitting down until you feel a stretch on your right glute. If you find balance harder, you can just park your bum against a door, a wall, whatever, and again, gradually sinking down until you feel that stretch. So your stretch might be up here, again, totally fine. Everybody's body is different. You can only work with where you are. So you're there, stretch, stretch, stretch. Breathing, always trying to keep breathing. If it's really quite ouchy, again, there's a point to which you need to just back up if it's too ouchy. If it's a stretch that you think, no, this is all right, but it is a bit sore, a long, slow exhalation helps with pain management. It stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system. There you go. Okay, so that's that back one. And then I'm going to the other leg. So my left foot's going on top of my right knee. I'm flexing that foot. I'm going to sit down. So my back is not against the wall. I'm leaning forward. If my back is against the wall, I don't feel the stretch nearly so much. I'm leaning forward. Breathing, breathing, breathing. And again, this can be done, hopping not required, away from a wall. You can just hold onto a wall for balance, or you can do it totally not holding onto any form of support, trying to keep the hips level, the foot is flexed on top of the knee. There we are, depending where you're at with balance. And back. Okay. So now we've thought about our glutes, now we're going to go for hamstrings. So some people can have dead straight legs and put their hands on the floor, marvellous. For most of us, bending your knees slightly and is going to be more effective. So you can bring your hands to your shins, knees bent is absolutely fine, doesn't have to have straight knees. In fact, for most people, straight knees is not helpful. Again, still keeping breathing. We're trying to keep the back long. So you're bending the knees, not your back. Right, so we're not trying to sort of swoop necessarily like this. We're keeping a straightish back, and we're having a hinging at the hips, and my knees are quite bent. If your knees are more bent, this is fine. And yeah, come back up again. Okay, now we're going to do more hamstrings because in my experience, hamstrings tend to get a lot of fun with cycling. So we're going to do right foot forward, left foot back. So this one, you want your feet to still be about hip distance apart. So if you were trying to do it on a tightrope, it would be possible, but it would be quite a lot harder from a balance point of view and from a flexibility point of view. So for most people, going with feet hip distance apart, and one is further forward than the other, that's where you want to be. Okay, so your right foot forward, your left foot back. You're going to have your hands on your hips. You're going to inhale, lengthen through the spine, thinking about that opening the chest, undoing that cycling stoop. Okay, inhale and then exhale, we're going to bow forward. So this front knee is going to be slightly bent. We're not jamming it backwards like that. Slight bend, and then you see where you get to. So usually you will feel a stretch in your bottom and in your hamstring. You might also feel a stretch in your back calf, depending on this calf here, this left one. But different bodies hold tightness in different places. We all have different injuries and such that we are working with. And then we're going to inhale, coming back up, so switching over feet. Okay, again, hips are square, both feet hip distance apart again. So we're doing this one. When I say hips are square, it means that they're not shunking off to the side. They're both facing towards the short edge of your mat. You don't have to have a mat, you can do this on carpet. If you've got slightly sweaty feet, it'll work just fine on floors. If your feet are not sweaty, random thing, then find a rug or a towel, will probably work as well. Or find a bit of your house that maybe has a carpet. That's fine too. So, hands on your hips, chest is lifted, shoulders back and down. Inhale, lifting up, and then exhale. Got a slight bend in the front knee. And you're leaning forward. So yoga is never supposed to be a competition. I'm afraid you can leave your competitivity on the bike, because if you just compete with somebody else's range of flexibility, you run the risk of injuring yourself. So the whole point is this is supposed to be advantageous for your body rather than giving you a new injury. So yes, we are going to try and respect the signals that your body is sending you, and if it's saying to you to back up, then back up. So some people will be able to lower their bodies further down, and other people will find that something like this is much more suitable for their range of movement. And again, if that's where you're at, that's where you're at. And then coming back up. Oh, okay. So again, I like to do a comedy hip wiggle. I only say comedy because I always feel slightly daft doing it, but it's not inherently daft in and of itself. And then moving back in the opposite direction. Right. One last one, or maybe not. All right, so we're going to bend your front knee. We've got right foot forward, left foot back. And again, I'm still trying to have this hip distance and a stable base back here. You might see people who do yoga all the time doing this warrior one in a sort of tightrope position, but it's inherently unstable. If you've just been on the bike, you might well be tired. We're not trying to clonk yourself. So my right foot's forward. You're going to have hands behind your back, so you're going to be lifting that chest. Strong stretch probably going on in your back calf. That is certainly the idea, okay? Because we're working down our body. You might feel a good stretch in the front of this hip flexor as well. Inhale, lifting up, shoulders away from the ears. So we're not trying to kind of go crunch up like this, trying to have shoulders away, back and down. You can, if you have tight shoulders, by all means, have your hands higher up your back by your lower back rather than by your bottom, if that helps you to keep that shoulders away from the ears. And there we go. Now we're going to go for the other leg. So left foot forward, right foot back. Bending that left knee, feet hip distance apart, feeling a stretch in the back calf, the front of your right hip, hands behind you. So this time hold the opposite forearm, just for a bit of variety. Okay, you're going to look up and think about the stretch in the front of the right hip, the stretch in your calf. Breathing steadily. And then coming back up. There we go. So that's a good all-round stretch for all of you. If you feel like you need to go again, back to the beginning and do it again. There's no harm in doing that. All right, see you next time.